But again, it does matter and it does make a difference. If you've done a lot to work on your hormones, if you've done a lot to work on your health and you are not taking advantage of looking at the products in your home and what you're exposed to, that's a really important thing. And whatever touches your skin is the largest organ in your body. Now it doesn't, necessarily produce hormones or whatever, but things can pass through it and that can impact those organs that do produce hormones, how hormones get converted and how hormones are processed out of the body. Hey there, welcome to the Female Health Solution podcast where we discuss women's health, hormones, and everything else in between. Join me as we dive into the tools that you need to live your healthiest life. Welcome back to the Female Health Solution podcast. I am Dr. Beth Westy, your host for today. Moving on to endocrine disruptors. That's what we're going to talk about today. The impact of endocrine disruptors on our hormones and, what we can do about it and some things. Now, as I'm recording this, I'm going to mention just a couple of brands. I'm not associated with these brands or anything, but these are just some things that I have found that I really like. The world of products and companies changes. So one of the risks of saying, I love this company or I love this brand of things is that it can be relevant at one point in time. And then that company can be purchased by a larger company or partner with a certain company and then change their ingredients or change where they source things. So the tough thing is that you're never really guaranteed forever to be like, yes, this for sure is always going to be safe. And you always got to have kind of a finger on the pulse of companies and what you're doing. So that's the really tough thing. And if you're thinking that sounds like a lot of work, how do I do that? I'm going to tell you the exact app I use to keep top of mind with that. So as I record this though, as we talk about this, I want to just be really clear. Endocrine disruptors are like all around you. They're everywhere, right? And it can be really, really difficult to feel like you are always doing the right things and always on top of things. And oh my gosh, I am being perfect with this. You're never really going to be perfect with things all the time, right? Again, this is just part of life. Unless you live in a bubble, you're going to be exposed to stuff. So the best thing you can do is reduce your exposure, reduce the things that you're doing and limit that and make sure your pathways are open to flush things out. It can be almost maddening if you're trying to constantly reduce your exposure or say, I can't go out to eat. There's going to be endocrine disruptors there. And for reference here too, endocrine disruptors, these are just chemicals that disrupt how your hormones are produced, converted, utilized, how they work, right? That's what endocrine disruptors are. Hormone disruptors are bad things that are bad for your hormones. Things that are bad for your hormones. That's all they are. So if you are looking at this and saying, oh my gosh, I've got a busy weekend coming up. I'm going to a graduation party. I'm going to go to a baseball game. I'm going to, so I'm going to be getting in a car and driving around and I have to stop and get gas. And I'm going to stop at the store and I've got to buy snacks and this and this and this. And I have to do X, Y, Z. And I'm going to go and there's going to be people sitting next to me that are wearing perfumes and I'm taking an Uber and there's an air freshener in there. Are these all endocrine disruptors? Yes. Are you like, oh my gosh, I have to stop what I'm doing so that I don't get exposed? That part of this is just life, right? And I like to think about what is going to be the biggest exposures for you and what is going to matter the most. I am not worried if I'm going to take an Uber for 20 minutes and be in a car for 20 minutes and there is an air freshener in there. Okay, right? Not a big deal. I'd be more concerned if I had an air freshener in my house that was releasing these chemicals that are bad for your hormones, right? I'm not as worried if I travel and I have to stay for a night in a hotel or something, right? I'm staying in a hotel overnight, okay, and the hotel, and I have to use the hotel shampoo and conditioner and soap or something like that. Oh, there could be endocrine disruptors in there. Yeah, but that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. Where it is the bigger deal, again, is in your own home. What are you using on a daily basis? What are you using 95% of the time? What are you exposed to? I'm more concerned with your mattress, your sheets, those types of things. Do you have a mattress that releases and off gases toxic chemicals? Because you sleep, I mean, hopefully for 8 hours a night, you're spending in that bed. That's a lot of hours built up over the span of a year. What detergents are you using? What soap are you using? Dish soap, things like that. Those things really, really, really matter. So look at what you're exposed to the most. What is around you in your home or even at work. I had somebody who we were working on her detox pathways, hormone regulation, all these things. She was doing really, really well. And then the office that she worked in was doing a bunch of remodeling. And she was like, okay, I have to move out of my office space for like 2 months. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So they moved everybody to like temporary workstations somewhere else in the building and then moved her back. And literally day one, back in that new space, she started getting headaches that started after the first hour of being at work, and they would get worse throughout the day. And, it'd get a little better when she'd take lunch. But by the end of the day, because she'd go outside for lunch, go off campus, using air quotes, off campus for lunch. But when she would come back, it would start right back up again and get worse at the end of the day. Like she'd have a hard time driving home because her head would hurt so bad. Yeah. It was the chemicals, the paint, the carpet glue, all that stuff in her new office space. That's really, really, really tough to, combat. So she actually moved back to the old office space, and immediately her headaches were better. Yeah. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I really don't feel good and this, like, could it just be some chemical that's interfering with my body? Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, and if you're trying to really regulate hormones and you're trying to work on your health, again, look at what you're exposed to a majority of the time, where you spend your most time, all of those things, and really look at your products. And again, making sure that you are staying updated on all those products because they can change. Okay. All right. So how do endocrine disruptors actually impact hormones? Like, how does that work? Well, essentially your hormones, and when you talk about your hormones, endocrine system, there's a lot of different hormones that are released from different glands, things like that. So you're looking at like your thyroid right here, you're looking at your ovaries, any other reproductive organs that are producing hormone, your adrenals, right? Some of the basic ones. And you're looking at that production overall, the things that actually make the hormone. Now, that endocrine disruptor, it can interfere with that hormone actually being made. Yeah, it can. And then what does that hormone do in the body? The hormone travels through the body, and then on your cells, there's certain receptors. And that hormone travels around and then has to land in a certain receptor overall. So the endocrine disruptors can actually block that receptor so it can't fit in there, right? If you're, thinking of this, an easy visualization is a receptor would be like a baseball glove, and the hormone is baseball moving around your system. And if the baseball glove is open, ready, right, it can, a baseball can land in the glove, and there you go. But if there's a endocrine disruptor there that's blocking that receptor, it's like somebody tied that baseball glove shut, and now the baseball can't get in there. That's a way that endocrine disruptors can impact the body. It can overstimulate or inhibit even the release of those hormones. It can interfere with how those hormones are processed, right? Because then when you talk about that receptor, then the cell does something or whatever. But what about hormones that are not utilized, or how your body processes things out, especially when we talk about estrogen? I've mentioned this before. Estrogen goes through 3 phases of detoxification. Phase 1 and 2 are in the liver. Phase 3 is the gut. And endocrine disruptors can get in the way of that step-by-step process, meaning it won't go 1, 2, 3 out of your system with estrogen. Maybe it'll just go 1 to 2, and then it won't move on to step 3. Those are impacts of endocrine disruptors. And for a lot of women that experience estrogen dominance, excess estrogen in their system, this can be a factor that drives that estrogen up because it's harder for your body to process it out if there's endocrine disruptors present, if there's something getting in the way, right? Um, so most people will notice, oh, it's my cycle is bad, or I'm having all these other hormonal symptoms. I have hot flashes. I get headaches. I have skin issues, something like that. And that can really tell you that, yep, there is definitely an endocrine issue here overall. So those are things to keep in mind. Now, making sure you're eating, healthy foods, pathways are open, getting a Dutch test is really helpful overall too, to see what your hormones are actually doing. But you really have to go through the work of looking at your products, looking at what you're using most of the time. And is this something that your system is going to be able to process out really well, right? We even look at things besides just a Dutch test. We actually look at even a genetic test that talks about how well do you detox? How well do you methylate? How well is your system just naturally, genetically going to process some of this stuff too, right? So those are important things. Now, getting onto products, when we look at products, one of my favorite apps that I'll show you, it's called EWG Healthy Living. Again, I'm not associated with this app. I'm not associated with this company, nothing to do with them, but this is just a helpful place to start. So EWG Living, it looks like this. It's green. And you can search any product. There's even a place where you can scan a barcode. Oh, you can scan a barcode if you're at the store and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this. What are they going to rate it? They take you through a whole introduction of these products and they rate them green, yellow, and red for whether or not they're toxic. And they help you get started with it. And they also list off like personal care foods, sunscreens, household cleaners, some of those basic things to start with. And they will tell you what brand is there. So one of my favorite things, actually. So this company, again, which I'm not associated with, but they are a Canadian company, I believe. Sometimes things made outside of the US they follow different standards, we'll say. I don't know all the rules, but I do know that. It's called Attitude Living. And this is their Attitude Nature laundry detergent. Pink grapefruit. And you can see here, it's like greens. Now, again, I am not associated with this company. I have nothing to do with them, but this is a laundry detergent and company that I really like to use for cleaning products, soaps, shampoos. Like they have a ton of that stuff. And they list all the ingredients and everything here. And they've got just options there. And it's just an easy thing to incorporate overall. They have, baby shampoo and stuff too, which I don't use because my children are not babies anymore. But I really like their shampoo overall. Yep. So that's really helpful. So they have a lot of stuff that you can use in your home, in your bathroom, kitchen, all that stuff. And if you're looking at changing things over, it can be really, really overwhelming. I do know that. So if you're like, how do I change things over? Where do I start? I usually recommend start with one room. Start with one room in your house. And if you're like me, you keep back stock of things. Like I don't run out of shampoo and I'm like, I don't have shampoo for 3 days. I have to run to the store. No, I go to my back stock and I get the extra shampoo. And then I put the shampoo on my list to purchase next time I order stuff, right? So that's how I start because it can be overwhelming. It can be nerve-wracking to be like, oh my gosh, I have to buy all new stuff. That's going to be really expensive to replace every single product in my home overnight. You can do it slowly, right? You can do it slowly. There's no rule that says you have to do it immediately. So start slow and start with one room. So say your bathroom. Look at your shampoos, conditioners, body washes. If you use hairspray, makeup, skincare, all those things. And when you need to buy or purchase anything new, just make it something different, right? add something different. Do not purchase the old stuff again and wait till it runs out and then you get your new stuff in there. Great. Then move on to your kitchen. What new things that you need in your kitchen? Like a cleaner, detergents, dish soap. Move on to your laundry room then. I do know people that like they will do all of it at once, and that's great. When I really looked at this stuff, it was just too overwhelming for me. And my kids were really little at the time. And I was like, I cannot, I cannot do this all at once. I need to do it room by room. So it became easier when you do it a little bit at a time. And there are still things where like this literally happened a couple weeks ago. I asked my husband to grab sunscreen at the store, and and it's one of those things, like, we've been together for 23 years. Like, babe, you should know not to buy the cheapest thing on sale that has all the garbage in it. No, thank you. Right? Nope. He grabs whatever's on sale. And I was like, no, you have to look at the ingredients and all these other things. And, so again, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But again, looking at it, I'm less worried about the sunscreen because we really needed sunscreen that day. If that's on the kids' skin for a couple hours, okay, I'm okay with that versus it being like, oh, this is going to be this product that they're going to use every day. That I would say, no, we're going to chuck that, right? But in a pinch or last minute, those little things, I don't worry about as much because otherwise you're just going to stress too much. But again, it does matter and it does make a difference. If you've done a lot to work on your hormones, if you've done a lot to work on your health and you are not taking advantage of looking at the products in your home and what you're exposed to, that's a really important thing. And whatever touches your skin, your skin is the largest organ in your body. Now it doesn't, necessarily produce hormones or whatever, but things can pass through it and that can impact those organs that do produce hormones. How hormones get converted, and how hormones are processed out of the body. So that's what I got for you guys today on endocrine disruptors and hormones and everything else. So hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. But again, if you are wondering what your hormones are doing, that's where a Dutch test comes into play. This is an excellent tool to measure exactly what your hormones are doing. It's a urine test for hormones. So it's measuring just those free hormones, not the bound ones that your system is already utilizing, right? Yes. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you would like more information, just head on over to drbethwesty.com for all the show notes and information from today's episode. And if you're looking for more community, more support, you can find and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and I would love to see you there.